Okay, picking up the little last tutorial on Bridge to show what you guys need to do to complete the work on that test. I'm just now going to apply the workflow that I've set up and then pull it into Lightroom and make some changes. Okay, I want to remind you guys about the slider down here. You have different ways to view your photos, whichever way you want to do that. I like this one, and I like them pretty small. You can drag it. Okay. So, but the photos I want to use are these guys. I'm going to click and then shift click. You get the ones I just did, which are the same kind of dark. So that'll be important in Lightroom that I'm editing pictures that way. All right, so once I've selected them, I'm just going to click and drag and drop. Okay, so now it says there's one job, 8 files, and I just slide down and click this button to start the workflow. Okay, and dang it, I'm sorry, it's on my other screen. There you go. That's what's going on. And this is where that error, that file type not supported error pops up. This is running way slower for me than usual. I'm not sure why, but you'll sometimes find that with Bridge because it's heavy lifting, especially if you have other programs, Windows, etc. open. Okay, this is the same folder that was already there, so it's got stuff in it that I processed the last batch in when I demoed in class. So it's dropping it into the same one. I did not create a new workflow folder. It used the one with the same name that was already there. So now it shows that it is done. And we are at this stage where we bounce them into Lightroom. Rather simply click, shift click again, multiple ways. You can click and drag and drop on Lightroom. Lightroom isn't always running for me, so I right click, and because I'm using a mouse, so I right click and do open with Adobe Lightroom. And here they come. One more than I wanted. I don't want that one, so I'm going to uncheck it, and I'm going to add the 8 photos. Okay. So most of these have the same light. So the cool thing about this trick in Lightroom is you set your exposure. Okay. So I'm going to select this one, and normally this is what we would do. I'm going to bump up the exposure to fix the light. It can't fix the other shoddy work that I did in a hurry. Temperature's a little yellow, so I might clean that up a little, bump that. And then what I want you to know how to do and be able to demo on your test is I have edited this photo to work with this light, and so I do copy edit settings, and note how that changes. I click on copy edit settings, note how it changes to paste edit settings. So then when I come here, I shift, I click the rest of those that I want to adjust, and I click paste edit settings. Before I do it, note what these look like, and then note how they look after those settings are applied. Okay, and then you would save those, and those are the skills you need for this test. Okay, there you go. Okay, going to do a quick tutorial on pulling files into Adobe Bridge. So I'm going to launch Bridge, which I have recently updated. Always important to keep the updates up, because then you don't run into stray glitches. Okay, so I'm in Bridge, and remember that we have these different workspaces, workflows. I'm going to go to Essentials to pull my photos in, and remember we can bounce between folders and favorites over here. Okay, I've put my SD card in to the drive, and I am going to go here to folders and go into computer and scroll on down, and I should see my SD card, which unfortunately has no name. Please name your SD card after your camera. So I'm going to open that up. I'm going to see these pictures. Okay. And I am just going to pull these that I just took. These are the ones I'm going to put in to my workflow. These are the ones I'm going to work with. Okay, so those are the ones I want. So I am going to use I'm going to right click and use the move to command and put them in the same place I did yesterday, this assets folder that I created on my desktop. Okay, so they are there. Note that they're now gone from my SD card. Okay, had I used the move to command before, these would not be here. On these would not be here. So now, and I go to favorites, go to desktop, into, where are you kids? My assets folder, which I believe is in instructions. Assets, there are the photos I want. I'm just going to work with these guys for this project. All right, so what I need you to do is first, make sure your metadata template contains the things you need to put in it. I've only asked for two things, your name and the creator. So you can create a new one or you can edit one and save it. Okay, so the creator here is Mr. Witt. Sorry, that's me. Email, creator email is bwhittington at district70.org. Okay, so then I have my metadata created. Okay, apply metadata changes. I'm going to do that. Okay. Although I would recommend, I don't like the way I did that. I'm going to say do this. Create a new metadata template or edit one that you know, so that you know which one you are editing, because it isn't 100% clear here. But this is the old one I'm going to use. It's the teach one. That's what I'm going to include in my workflow. Quiet, please. Okay. Thank you. Now I'm going to bounce to workflow. This is where I set up my workflow. I think it's confusing. It works from left to right, but workflows are listed here. You create the diagram, the flow chart here, but the details you put in are over here. So, if you can still hear me, I will continue trying to do this workflow for you. So, workflow, you create a new workflow over here, or you can edit an existing one. I would recommend for the test you're getting ready for, you're going to have to create a new one. So practice that by clicking down here, plus, which will give you a new workflow. Okay, and it's right here. You'll get to name it. It'll include all these. You can add these tasks. So what we start here and give it a name. Test workflow. I know many of you already did this yesterday. That's fine. We click save, and now it should show up down here. Now it's time to add the elements. Now it's time to add the elements that you need to include. Batch rename. Okay, we're going to add that. That happens over here. That is giving it the name you need. You guys need a name that is whatever the one I assign at test time is. So it might be purple, and the first 5 letters of your last name. So for me, it would be Whittington. And then it's always good to have a sequence number. I always start with 1, unless I've been working on that project before. Okay. So now I need to save my workflow again because I've added a new thing. It's good to save this as you go. Okay. Okay. Going to replace it because I've updated it. Now I move to the next step, batch rename, change format. You guys are taking from, you're going to put the correct file location in here. All right. Where you save. Save to the original file location, and then it'll give it a subfolder named workflow. I'm not going to ask you to change that. That's clear enough. And then I may have you choose any one of these formats, PNG or TIFF, or I probably won't use DNG. That's not that common. Uncheck Save Transparency because it just adds to the file, and we don't need that for these purposes. Okay, so I'm going to save again. Okay. Make sure we're good. Down here. We're not going to resize, so I'm not going to add that element. You're just going to apply metadata. Okay. And you're going to choose the right metadata. In my case, I'm going to check apply metadata here. And instead of lame example, I'm going to select teach, which is my honest and serious one. I'm going to save my workflow one more time. Save, it's going to pop this up. Save my photo test workflow. It's going to ask if I want to replace it again, and I'm going to want to replace it again. You don't have to do that until the end if you want to. I like to do it as I go through each bit. Now this is set up. Now all I will need to do, nope, I'm going to go ahead and stop this one here.